Hi guys, welcome back to Box. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you guys back. I can't wait to get into the topic of today. So as you guys are joining, please do well to like this video. It helps wherever you're watching and on whichever platform you are seeing this stream. So today I want to talk about something very important, and that's what just recently happened with the Senate. The Senate basically just said no, they don't want to do regional governments. They want to continue with the democracy whereby they remain in power. And today I'll be talking to you about the benefits of regional governments. The first thing I want to say is that this bill was not introduced by the House of Representatives, it was not introduced by the Parliament, it was not introduced by the presidency either. This bill was introduced by Mr. Fapohunda, who is a Yoruba man of himself, and is someone who's a proud Nigerian. So if you look at Nigeria today, like nothing is working. My people, nothing they work at all. There's hunger in the land, there's starvation, things are difficult. In fact, recently, it is a video of people. Sorry, guys. In that video, people were lining up for bread. Imagine, as rich as Nigeria is, this is a government where they give people food, palliatives, rice. And the video I just shared is people begging for bread. Like in Nigeria, 2024, October, you see people lining up begging for bread. There's also another video on social media about people begging for people are saying they are begging for people are begging for yam. Can you imagine in this Nigeria of today, you have Nigerians going and begging for yam. This is a government of palliative. The government believes it does give people food when there's hunger in the land. Okay, you have the different local governments and the different chairman and they start distributing food for people. So in this video, you can see people are lining up to collect yam. You can see the soldier there, being an army waiting for the back, and it's making sure people line up. Everybody come and take one yam. Guys, this should every Nigerian watching this, should just be boiling. Have this come to this? Tinubu's government who believes in palliatives and giving people food. So you can see Nigeria has come to this. The tuber of yam is over 1,000 naira, 1,005. Just one piece of yam. So the government is providing yam for people. So what happened to our natural resources? What happened? What did do all of our agriculture? Obviously, this is like in Lagos. This is in Lagos. What happened to all the fertile land we have in all of Nigeria? So my people know they even think. Like people are not thinking at all. When you have a huge number of people, they come, they say make everybody line up. All of them will collect one yam, and that's what is going on here in this video. People are coming and people are picking their yam. So guys, like things are really bad. As in the government is not helping, nothing is going on. The current administration we have, obviously, is not even working. So it's just something to think about, Sha, because if it's me, I'll be asking, okay, how did we get here? Okay, in this video, people are begging for bread. Actually, there's a line, come and collect bread. So you line up, you say, oh yeah, on our bread you want to, and then you be collecting bread one by one. Guys, this is how bad the country has become. Like, unity badger. the country has gotten very, very, very bad. So you now ask yourself, okay, how did we even get here? Like, what happened? How did we get to a country whereby the government is basically giving people food? Because the price of petrol is so high, people cannot buy petrol to go to their work anymore. And also, even those that don't have cars that are entering buses, uh, those that don't have cars that are entering buses, the buses that they enter, problem you are going to see is that yeah, those that are entering buses, when you enter a bus, for example, you have to pay a lot of money because transportation is become very, very expensive. So the question is, why did the Senate, why did they reject the regional proposal? And this guy, again, not an Igbo man by any means, is a Yoruba man, and he came up with the idea and he said, "Oh yeah, this our government is not working. Why don't we go back to the regions?" And it's a very legitimate question. It's a question that I mean, is a no-brainer. So the Senate recently signed a bill to create a new state from Kano. Uh, yes, so the Senate wants to create a new state from Kano. So the Senate is interested in dividing Nigeria more, breaking Nigeria more and more and more and more into smaller pieces, but they're not interested in restructuring Nigeria. The bill that was proposed will have combined Nigeria together back into 8 regions. If you remember, from the beginning of Nigeria up until the Civil War, there were the 3 regions. There's the northern region, there's the western region, and then there's the eastern region. So those 3 regions were like the 3, you can call it 3 states or 3 provinces. Those were the 3 regions in the beginning. But after the Biafra War in 1970, when the Biafra War ended, we went from those 3 regions to 12 states. From 12 states, we went to 19 states, 19 states to 21 states, 21 states to 36 states. Now, they are proposing a new Kano state. That's going to be state 37. Then there's the new Anioma state. So that's going to be state 38. So the governments today, they want to have 38 states. Why do they want to have 38 states? They want to have 38 states because the 36 states is not enough to steal money. So we want to loot more, we want to steal more, and the way to steal more is by introducing more states. So I think it's Ned Nwoko or whatever his name is, Regina Daniel's husband. He's the one who's trying to propose the Anioma state. So here you can see Senate introduces bill to create a new state from Kano. And they want to call it a Tiger or Tiga. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Senator Kua Sumaila is the Senate representing Kano South, and is sponsor of the bill that was read. And what they are saying is to create the provision of the new states. In June, Ned Nwoko, Senator representing Delta North, said he would propose a Neoma state in addition to the Southeast. So again, these people you see here, our governors and all that. Let me stop sharing the screen. Yeah, our senators, they are interested in further dividing Nigeria more and creating more and more states. The question is, why do they want more states? Why do they want more states? They want more states because they can be able to further divide Nigeria and to further, if you would, make more money, further lose more money. So if you go back to the regional states, like the 3, the north and the northern region, western region, and eastern region, there are a lot of benefits to that. I'm going to read from my notes here because there's so many things I wrote down. One is that it will reduce corruption. How will it reduce corruption? Going back to the region will reduce corruption because if you're an Igbo man, you are right there in the southeast. And within that southeast, all of them know yourself. Perhaps you'll be more accountable. There'll be more accountability. There's more accountability because You all know each other. Maybe you even all speak the same language. Maybe you all speak the same language. So give me 1 second, guys. Maybe you all speak the same language. So there's going to be more accountability, and people will be held more accountable. The other thing is also you have more control of your resources. As far as accountability go, today now it's Abuja national cake. I can steal money, and there's no accountability. Nobody will hold me accountable if I steal money because it's national cake. Look at all our presidents, how much they've been looting and just getting away with stuff. And by getting away with stuff, there's no accountability. There's no accountability. Because of that lack of accountability, there's more theftery, if you would. If you can say there's more theftery, you can say that. Secondly, there's the issue of the natural resources. Every state in Nigeria is blessed with natural resources. I don't care how you say it. I don't care what you say. Every state in Nigeria has a natural resource. But because of this federalism or whatever you call it, we have gotten to a position whereby we've neglected our natural resources. We've neglected our natural resources. So now people are not even people are not even interested in the natural resources in their homeland anymore. Why are they not interested? They are not interested because they can depend on the region, on the government, on the federal government. So the federal government is the one who is in control of everything. So if I want to steal money, nothing concern me. Now national cake anyway. But if to say now I be Southwestern guy, I'm a Yoruba guy. Before I will steal money, I know my people, I know my brothers, and it's gonna be a little bit. It will be harder to steal money versus looting money from everywhere, whereby there's no accountability. If you look at the unitary system we have right now, whereby everything is in Abuja. If you look at what Buhari did, for example, Buhari was collecting money. Buhari was borrowing money without even going to the Senate, without going to the proper means. It was towards the end of his regime, he quickly came to Senate and so yeah, I beg, I don't borrow like 40 trillion naira, make an sign them. And obviously the Senate quickly signed it. There's no accountability. In the regional government, there's no accountability. People are more in tune to watch what is going on. And people are more checkmating and saying, guy, you know if you steal money anyhow, because everybody know everybody. It's like a family in a way. And if you want to steal, we know each other now. And then everybody is more accountable. Everybody is more responsible for their share of the land. So here, in the constitutional review, northern senators reject regionalism. According to the South, it will speed up social economic development. Everybody can develop their own place. This is by the independents. Everybody will develop their own place. Right now, that's not possible because they all depend on the federal government. Even road. I remember there's a road when you are going to Songotedo in Lagos. That road that comes from Victoria Island that takes you all the way to Dangote Refinery. That road has been bad for a very long time, such that road is causing a lot of traffic. Till date, I heard though, no be me talking more. I just heard that they were saying that the local chairman and the states, they are saying they are waiting for federal government. So imagine this, they are waiting for federal government to fix that road. Why are they waiting for federal government? They're waiting for federal government because that road is supposed to be fixed by federal government. So according to them, they don't have to do anything. So development and that road will deteriorate and go bad and bad and bad and bad. So development will be very, very slow. Why would development be slow? Because everybody is waiting for federal government. So what they are saying here is social economic development will be faster, and there will be a way whereby we can develop quicker. But the North, they are against this, as you can see. The North are not in support of it, clearly, for obvious reasons. What we have then is just going to be whereby people will have a collective mindset based on what region they are from. Now, let's talk about education. Most of the federal institutions that we have today were developed way back in the first to second republic. So education has been neglected under the federalism because everybody is waiting for the federal government. Everybody wants the federal government to do something. Everybody's waiting and saying, oh yeah, federal government is your job. Federal government, you are going to do this. Federal government, you are going to do that. And honestly, the problem with that is the federal government has so much on its plate. Infrastructure is another thing that needs to be worked on. People will be more accountable if the regional government is one that is allowed to proceed. Healthcare is another one. All the development that happened in Nigeria arguably happened during the First and Second Republic, and mostly during the First Republic when we were in regions, when Nigeria was in regions. But today, with the political elite and the political class and what's going on, politicians are not interested. They were interested in creating more states, but they are not by any means interested in developing the country. For example, to run for government, you need 100 million naira. To run for presidency, for senators, you need 50 million naira. So the system is set up for failure. Then also you have the issue of resource control. Resource control just means that each region is responsible for controlling their own resources. And because they are responsible for controlling their own resources, what you are going to notice is that people are more interested in doing what is right. They are more interested in being objective because their region is what matters, and they want to improve their region. So I think it's just something that we need to talk about more, which I don't think we've been talking about, and it's something that this particular gentleman has come forward.
Glad you're here. Welcome.
Oh, sorry. This particular gentleman has come out and said, yeah, let us try and develop Nigeria. So I'm going to play some of the interview which he gave. And I think it makes sense, you know. A lot of things he said, to me, it makes sense. I don't know what you guys think, but let me know what you think here.
If there's no system, then it's everybody for himself, nobody for everybody else. Nigeria is essentially lawless at this time. Nobody obeys anything, impunity reigns. Because the constitution that we have is not even respected. We don't own it. It's just imposed by the military. But the main motivation in brief is that Nigeria currently is financially bankrupt. We have 36 states, regions consuming money. The governors, the assembly members, National Assembly itself, 774 local governments, they're just receiving salaries and there's no impact in what they are doing. We have to change the structure. And the beauty of what I'm even proposing is that in a federation, there should be a central constitution for the country. The federated units must have their own constitution to govern their affairs too. That's fundamental. We are running a unitary system. It has to change.
Okay, so what he was saying there was government has become so expensive. So you have 36 states. Like I said earlier, Kano is trying to divide into two. Delta State is trying to divide into two, which would mean if those bills pass, or if those bill passes, there will be 38 states. And therefore, 38 House of Reps, 38 Senates in each state, 774 local governments. So the budget of Nigeria today, just running Nigeria, is about almost 20%. Just budget in all these politicians and governments and officials, they are not doing anything to improve the life of Nigerians. So this proposal is a very, very good proposal. And what he's just saying is the country is broke. When Nigeria had this, we started with 12 states. There was oil. We had so much hope and we have so much optimism that Nigeria is going to get better, things are going to improve. But with the current situation, you can't afford to run government. We were running governments anymore. So it's proposing 8 states, and the senators or the presidency who call themselves public servants but are not interested in serving the people, most of them are not interested in this bill. They don't want to hear about it. They are not interested. They don't care. They don't want to do it. And today, the amount of debts that Nigeria has and the amount of debt that Nubu Igbese, the amount of debt that Nubu is accumulating, or English, man, English is hard, accumulating, the amount of debt that Nubu is accumulating, that debt will take us about 40 years after he leaves office to be able to pay back some of the debts that Buhari even collected. Those debts will not start paying them until 2030. That will be about 6 years after I left office. So these politicians, they are really, really playing us. They are playing Nigerians gone, and they are not even interested in development of Nigeria. They are not interested in development of the country. They are not interested in the people or the public. That is why this regional government, it makes sense. And I think is what will save Nigeria, because what the regional governments will do is that the regional government will reduce the expenditure of governments. It's going to lead to a lot of unemployment of all these politicians and all these government officials and all these bureaucrats that are just in office chopping money left and right. Now, Tinubu has gone to UK on a 2 weeks annual vacation. Who is paying for that vacation? You and me. Who's paying for the private jet? You and me. Who's paying for the government jet is using? You and me. Who's paying for the petrol, the parking? Because that plane needs to be parked somewhere and it has to pay in pounds. So government has become very, very, very expensive to run, such that, like I said, about 10 to 15% of the budget is just to run government. So we need to sack all the government people. We need to fire all of them and say, you guys just go. And that is what this regional government is proposing. Regional government will reduce from 36 states to just 8 regions. So all those governors, they're all going to lose their power. All those governors, they're all going to lose their jobs. Now that Tinubu is in the UK, he probably went with 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. I don't know how many people he carried. 50 people that they are on Nigerian payroll. That 2 weeks vacation is gone for. My cost was upward of 5 to 10 billion naira just for him to take vacation for 2 weeks. So which way, Nigeria? Which way? So this is why the regional government, it makes sense to me. If you are running a shop, for example, you're running a shop, you have a shop, you are selling pure water. And when you are selling pure water, if somebody come and buy pure water in your shop, when they come and buy pure water in your shop, you as a person who is selling the pure water, you are going to be charging them when they buy the pure water. Unfortunately, when they come, you have to pay somebody to take care of them. But the person you are paying will welcome them. That person will give them gala or just say, oh, yeah, thank you for coming. But that expenditure is costing you about 20% to run the pure water. It's even costing you more than you're making from the pure water. So what you need to do is to cut that service. Just cut it. You don't need this. You don't need a government this bloated. Because when we started having states, there was water, there was roads, there was jobs for everybody. $1 was 20 naira or something back then. So, but today, $1 is almost 1,700 naira. It's so freaking expensive, right? And then you have roads that are being neglected. You have infrastructure that are being neglected. The health system is being neglected. Agriculture is being neglected. Our farmers are being neglected. And for those of you that are just joining, there's this video I played. I'm going to play it again. This is what Nigeria has come to. Okay, so what you have there is Nigerians lining up. These are Nigerians lining up, and they are queuing. This is in Lagos. They are queuing to go and collect bread. So these are politicians who are in power. I don't know how much one bread is, but they are giving people bread as if we are in some war. I mean, Nigeria is not in war. Like, why should we get to a point whereby we are giving people bread? So, guys, I mean, thank you for joining. Today, we are talking about the regional governments and why this bill failed. You know, they had the senators had a meeting in Kano, and they said, "No, we are not the regional governor. Let's continue to loot and let's continue to steal from Nigeria, because that is the only way we can enrich ourselves and continue to enslave the country." So whenever people are making noise, there's hunger. There's supposed to be protests. One politician comes say, "Yeah, make an account they collect bread," and it's not just only limited to one politician. Other politicians are giving people yam. So have you collected your yam? So the government is here just handing yam over to people. Everybody take one yam. You know, people are here and they're just saying, "Oh yeah, come collect your yam." You don't collect your yam. um So I think it's just something that we need to pay attention to. And if this is the kind of country that we want, so OPC came out with People's Congress and condemned their senator Koyemi Bamidele. On other hand, the Yoruba senator, obviously, who is against this regional government. So there are a lot of benefits, honestly, that can be had from regional governments, and I'll just kind of continue to kind of talk about that here. So let's listen to what this Dr. Akin has to say.
Solely by myself. But then, being a member of all these bodies, I've listened to what Nigerians are saying. I know what the issues are. So I feel qualified as a senior citizen to be able to profile solutions. For goodness sake, I'm over 70. I'm entitled to my own opinion. And I want Nigeria to work for me and for my children. That's enough.
I mean, nobody can fault that
all these
at
bodies,
all. Nobody.
19 states, 21 states, now 36 states. Because we thought we have so much money. There's room for many governors, many assembly members. At this point now, we are broke. So we have to contract, we have to aggregate back. If somebody is living in a 10-room mansion and the economy is now bad, is it not good for him to go to a 2-bedroom house? So we now need 8 centers of governance, not 36. We need only one parliament, not dual camera. And all the boundaries of Nigeria will remain the same, but then we'll reduce the level of civil servant, public service.
But there are implications here, Doctor.
Development.
I know you're still trying to explain, but the little you've said, there are implications. When you talk about shrinking the number of ministries, you talk about one parliament, you talk about, having just 8 centers as against having one center of government. What about basically you have to break apart before you can put together. Have you considered the fallout that might come from the the mass unemployment that will now come up? Or do you have a plan as to how to integrate? We have multiple ministries as it stands, and we are still employing.
First of all, change comes at a cost. At present, we have government for politicians, government by politicians. Citizen has no place at all. Look at Lagos, cholera in Lagos. There is no pipe-borne water. We're all using sachet water. In the 60s, I'm from Ilesha and Osun State, there was pipe-borne water on every street. We have so much rivers, no money to dam them to provide water. We have 3,000 megawatts of power for 25 years. Civil servants are being paid for doing nothing. Refineries are not producing petrol, and we are paying salaries for all these years. How can we continue like that? So if you don't, and we have a 3-year plan, it's not going to be start today. People will have to find new jobs. And there are new jobs. We are not farming. We are not raising cows. All the roads are not maintained. All buildings are dilapidated. There is more work.
But these things you're talking about are more of leadership challenges. How do you propose that creating this regional government will truly address these challenges? Are you looking perhaps at the competition that will emerge among the regions to grow? On the flip side of that, that competition may not bode well for the unity of the country.
Unity of Nigeria is not, we are not really united. We are only deceiving ourselves. We are not united. That's why we have Boko Haram, that's why IPOB. If you don't lower the temperature to open up a conversation, to really know what is the problem, we are just deceiving ourselves. Until we now discuss what the next 1 year, who is where, who wants to live with whom, on what terms, then we'll be on the road to recovery. It doesn't mean one day everything will be solved, no. But we are on a wrong course now. We have to do 180 degrees turn. There will be challenges, I agreed. But we just have to embark on a new journey.
Okay.
Okay, so there'll be challenges ahead. We have to embark on a new journey. And he's very, very right about that. It's going to be difficult. So, for example, look at electing a president. If you want to elect a president in Nigeria today, anybody can run for presidency without the proper qualifications. So by going into regionalism, you can have the best of the best. For example, Ekiti State, we know they have the most educated Nigerians. Some people say that. Don't quote me on that. But if you want to run and you are from that region, you produce the most educated and the most smartest. You know, but today you have someone like Buhari, secondary. I don't know if Buhari went to secondary school, or someone like Tinubu, that his degree is questionable. So you have guys like that are just running because it's a national budget, national cake. Wow, Sitoju, yeah, welcome. Nice to have you here, my guy. Sitoju is dropped a comment. Shout out to you. He said, Mike Omoba, back in the day, during my school days with the Okoya's children, these kids are so privileged. That's when I knew that no, for common man, I vowed to be successful. Wow. Yeah, because there's no hope for a common man today in Nigeria. And that is because of this political class, political elites, political elite that will do anything to hold on to power at the expense of the people. Yes, I mean, you have to take it upon yourself to be successful. Yeah. Shout out to you, Sitoju. Onyi Ade, thank you for joining. Onyi, welcome. He said, Kobos Irara. Kobosi Rara. Okay. Kobosi Rara. That means you know enter. That means it's not working at all. How can a country lack vision? Wow. Thank you, Onyi. How can we continue to regress? Trump is very correct. Nigeria, I can't speak. Oh man, why they do like why they shade Nigeria, man? Only why they shade Nigeria? He said Nigeria is a expletive country. Yeah, I'm not going to. I don't agree with you. Only no. I have to defend my Nigeria. I'm a proud Nigeria. Detribalized Nigeria. I defend, man. Trump is an idiot. We all know that. So, but I hear your points about Kobosi Rara. I get what you're saying because Kobosi Loto, it doesn't make sense. And that is because, like what Oyin was saying, we are going back. We are regressing. So Kobosi Rara, it doesn't make sense at all. We don't have vision. and we don't have leadership who are servants. We don't have leadership that has the mind, like, I want to change something. And this is a very hard decision to make. If Tinubu can, with a stroke of a pen, change Mark Gold, yeah, thank you for joining. If Tinubu can, with a strike of a pen, change national anthem, and there's no question asked, he just did it, Bosa. We just woke up, say, national anthem, just change. Oh. With a stroke of a pen, I still believe Tinubu can also push for regional government, because government has become so expensive. Like, you cannot be running government at 20%. There's a video, if I can find that video, I'll show you guys that video. And that video talks about how messed up Nigeria is. It's by an Igbo guy that gave the analysis. I'll try and find that video. And he talks about up to Buhari. So Buhari was borrowing money, borrowing. Buhari was not going to Senate to get approval. He was just borrowing. They're like 4 or 5 months before he entered. So I just went to Senate to get approval, and Senate just signed everything overnight. And this debt he borrowed is like 40 years in advance. So here you are complaining and say, Nigeria will have oil, not knowing that you're bobbing yourself. The oil that you have, Nigerian politicians have used it as collateral for the future. So you really don't have any oil. So Nigeria is actually very broke, like broke as broke. Only for Jagaban to come out and give a speech. And his speech was that they have paid, or he just lied left and right. Again, I can do another analysis of that speech. How that speech is filled with lies. So those who write the speech don't even come out and say, oh, the government is wrong. Or those that they were referenced. So it's just like people are just lying and packaging lie left and right. So I hear you, Onyi. I agree with you. Onyi responded again. Onyi said, I used to abuse Trump when he said that. I can't even say, okay. I can't even stand Trump. But over the last 8 years, let's talk about it. What have we achieved or accomplished? That's a delay. That's a deep question. What have we achieved over the last 8 years? We have not really achieved much. Thank you guys for your participation. This is very helpful. Let's get the dialogue going. Please drop a comment wherever you are. So, yes, over the last 8 years, it's Tinubu that gave us Buhari. There's another video where Tinubu was praising Buhari up until like 3 or 4 years ago. Again, I have that video, but we don't have time. I was going to play that, but there's time. If I have enough time, I'll play that. This same Tinubu was like clapping for Buhari and say, Buhari, nice job. He did a very good job. Like Buhari's administration as this, as that. So the question now begin to ask yourself is that, like Onyi Ade is asking here, let's talk about it. Like, what have we done? Waiting, the last 8 years, what have been achieved? I'm trying to think. Like, I want to name one thing that has been achieved. I know national anthem got achieved. Nothing really. Like, the government cannot show for anything at all. Well, recently, Emirates, I think Emirates is coming back to Nigeria, which is an achievement, I guess. So kudos to them for that. Mark Gold, thank you for participating. Regional government, my foot. Wow, this one, I know the deal. Mark Gold said, regional government, my foot. We are Biafrans and we have nothing to do with Nigeria. Take it not or leave it. I'll take it not. So, Mark Gold, I want to engage you in this conversation because I have been called a pro-Biafra person, even though I'm a detribalized Nigerian. I've been called in support. It said I empathize for Biafra, and with comments, people leaving nasty comments because I said that Nnamdi Kanu should not be held the way he's held because Sunday Igboho did the same thing, and Sunday Igboho was someone who was let go. Shoro is free walking around. So why is Nnamdi Kanu being held? And the charges held against him because he started a radio station in UK, for example. So I've once been someone that said that that's wrong. But if you want to talk about it, guys, I don't agree with the way of most of the Biafra people. I don't agree with the opinion that we don't want Nigeria should go to hell because there's a process. Margot, let me tell you something. If you see that Nigeria is bad, I think what Nnamdi Kanu should have done was to walk through the grassroots and send people to the House of Representatives and send people to the Senate. So that those people in the House of Senate can change the constitution to allow for a referendum. That is the only way that I think Biafra can be peacefully achieved. And I don't like the way Nnamdi Kanu was saying you guys should not go out for votes. Simon Ekpa, politicians, you should buy politicians. That's not right. That's not the way to do it. So I'm not in support of Nnamdi Kanu or his ways, or the sit at home every Monday that's still going on in the southeast. Look at the sit at home. Those that are sitting at home are the ones suffering. People are hungry. Agu, I think that's what they are hunger in Igbo. People are hungry. They are very hungry. There's a lot of agu everywhere, and then they are sitting at home. So I don't agree with his ways, but I just think that Nnamdi Kanu should be someone that should be more careful about his speech. Gold said, after 100 years, Nigeria can't even produce a toothpick. Yet you want to still believe in one Nigeria. Go and stop wasting people's time. Regionalization is not particularly like let's burn the building down. Regionalization just allows us to be able to make Nigeria a little bit better, because people we have there now, they are not true leaders. They are not true leaders. Gold said, no Igbo man that believe in one Nigeria. There's no Igbo man that believe in one Nigeria. It's funny, what we are talking about today is the regional governments. And if you look at the regional governments, like, it was not even proposed by an Igbo man. So your sentiment is not only carried by the Igbos. You have the Afenifere, the Oduduwas. Those people are also echoing the same belief that this Nigeria is not working for us. So the senators, thank you so much, Mark Gold. You said that you're a good guy, I see, but Nigeria is not a country. What has Nigeria done for us, to be honest? 100 years, we can't produce a toothpick. Yeah, I mean, so the point is, we are here now. Now here we did. How do we move forward? How do we move forward? To move forward, we need to start fixing things. And that is what this Dr. Fapohunda was saying. Like, the current system is not working. The current structure is not working. Anybody can be president of Nigeria. If you have money, you can buy your way. But within the regional government, if you have regional politics, you are going to see that each region will be responsible. And that is why some regions were more developed. If you go back to the First Republic, some regions were more developed than other regions because of what each region prioritized. And now, Obasanjo created EFCC. He submitted a bill and EFCC was created. ICPC was created by Obasanjo by submitting a bill as well. So point I'm making is Tinubu could have taken this up and not have to go through the Senate where the bill just died. Senate just said, we're not interested in regional government. We're not interested in regional government because also the North allegedly doesn't have much resources. A lot of the resources are coming from the Southeast. That's where the oil and all the oil and gas is coming from. So if the regional government controls things, that region will be more developed because the people there will be more responsible for developing their areas. Right now, money goes to Abuja, and the person in Abuja who has never even been to part of Nigeria where there's this demarginalization and where the resources are being taken, the Ogoni people, the people in the southeast and south, those with the oil is being exploited day in, day out. But then there's no infrastructure, the fish are being polluted, the water has been polluted, the river has been polluted, and things are just getting worse and worse for those particular people. Instead, what are we doing? We're like, oh, we need to create more states. Now they want to create Neoma state. Now they want to create Kano Tiger state or whatever. So if you look at all these states, you become concerned that why are we creating more states into the long? Like, why do we need more states? Why do we need more states? Country is broke, like very, very broke. As in this 2024, the bills that Tinubu is collecting now will start paying in 2050. So in a way, it's like you are collecting a debt into the future. So we are necessarily not a oil-rich country anymore. We are not oil-rich because the oil that we are rich today for our lifetime, they've already sold it. And that is why there's poverty. That's why the Naira is 1,700. And that's why the pound is over 2,000 Naira. Onyade, thank you for your comments. I'm not sure we can move forward though. This is a proper Niger. When you see them at, oh, you're like, okay. It's like correct Niger. And also, this thing, the pepper, only is like, this thing is paining me. Like, I'm not sure I can move forward though. With the level of corruption, nothing works. I'm being asked to pay millions for a building permit. And guess what? They handed me a handwritten invoice. Bam. I know what you are talking about because I have other friends who are going through that as well. For example, in Lagos State, if you want to build a house now, they'll say you have to pay taxes for the last 3 years. There's no connection to that tax. It's just government looting. And this tax is not small tax, like 80 million. I'm sorry, it's like 8 million. They can give you like 2.5 million per year or 3 million. It's just like governments, like the government is so corrupt. Like, government is so corrupt. It's so bad. So what Onyade is saying here is building permits that was handwritten. There's no receipts. There's no tracking. It's just you are going to pay some people. And when you pay that money, they are going to chop the money. They are going to take that money and they're just going to chop it. And then they can allow you to move forward. If you don't pay that money, they'll send people, members of the state that work for the state. Those guys will come and then they'll start like threatening and harassing you. And these are guys that are states working for the state, which you only you paid for with that tax that you pay or with that permit that you pay. But these are the same people where would they come, they harass person. Magold said, thank you for the comment. When Magold, is it supposed to sow from some to buy himself to be a governor? No, it's not. Okay, I think you meant this supposed to be so. You're right, Magold. Like when somebody pay 100 million naira, where did you get 100 million naira from? Like, where did you get that money from? When you pay 100 million naira, you are buying you're buying yourself to be a governor, to be president. And then it doesn't matter about your ideas anymore. It doesn't matter about your intellectual anymore. It doesn't matter about your capability or capacity. What you see in Nigeria today is a failed government who is lauded by failed administrative officers. All these ministers they appoint here and there, those guys are not technocrats. As bad as IBB may be, military dictator, but most of the guys IBB had around him were very sound guys. They're very educated, and they were elected based on merit. Based on merit, what can you do? Look at the CBN governor. Look at the Minister of Works, Minister of Steel, Minister of Housing. Just all these people around. It's just based on connection, based on your reputation, not based on merit. If we go back to a regional government, then it's based on merit. Because I'm a Yoruba man, you're a Yoruba man. I'm from Lagos State, you are from Lagos State. Two of us are from Lagos State. So it's based on merit. What have you done? What have you done? What have you accomplished? So that is why the Nigeria before was flourishing. Many things were done because the Western region, two Igbo men were competing against themselves as Igbo men. There was no mago. Today, my people, there's some cabinet positions that are retained just because you are from the Southeast, or just because you are from the Southwest, or just because you are from the North Central, or just because you are from the Northeast. These are cabinet positions that is just based on your tribe or your region, not based on your intellect or not based on your merit. So it's just like you begin to wonder, like, why would the Senate reject this bill that can save them? Because if they don't do this regionalism and open up a discourse, let the IPOB Biafra, let them come and say their mind. Let the Oduwa people, let them come and say their mind. If you don't do this, what's going to happen is that it might end up becoming a gunpowder, as Nigeria is now, as the Obasanjo have said. Nigeria is sitting on a gunpowder, a keg of gunpowder, and that gunpowder might explode very soon. It might explode very soon because with the way things are going, and they want to create a Tiga state, they want to create a Newman state where there's no money. So that means, imagine, that's more local government, that's more governors, more administrator, more. But the government cannot afford this. It doesn't make sense. He told you, Baba, he said, this is not the era Awolowo and Orakpora. Okay, these guys are too daft to shift things, split it up, and everybody go home. Bam. Guy, me, like, I love you, man. I love what you said. So what you're saying is, I didn't think of that, Cha. I didn't think of that. And I can agree with you, Sito, because your point is these particular cabals we have now, they are too daft. And you are very right in a way. I can disagree with you a little bit. I agree with you because if you look at the current ruling class that we have, if you look at the ruling class that we have, a lot of them were from the second, third republic, military era. Case in point, 1999, you have Obasanjo, who was former head of state, right? After Obasanjo, you have Yaradua, whose brother or uncle or whatever was former president, who was taken out by coup. Then after that, Jonathan, accidental, you have Jonathan, who Obasanjo put in because he was from the South. Then after Jonathan, you have Buhari, again, former military head of state. And now you have Tinubu, who has been in the block since the early 90s, who was a senator, I think, in the Third Republic or whatever. This was during MKO. So these are guys that have been around. They are just recycling themselves. So so that's how I agree with you, right? These guys are the same set of guys. And most likely you are correct. If we go into the regional governments, you are very correct, Tito, in the sense that these are the same people, they will just shift themselves and move over. I agree. But I disagree because there are benefits to regional governments. Benefits being reduction in the expenditure of government. It will reduce, the government expenditure will be reduced. Right now, government is too expensive to run. So by going into regional, you save more money. Number one. Number two, the corruption will be reduced because there's more there's more accountability. Sorry, excuse me. There's more accountability in the regions because if I be Yoruba man, I be Yoruba man. Okay, what's the next level? Is it based on our credentials, based on our performance, based on our academics, or based on our vision for the country? But as one Nigeria, it's just like national cake. Nobody cares. Everybody just they loot left and right. So Mark Gold again, thank you. Bro, it can't work. Our Messiah MNK Mazen has been in the same page with you before, and it didn't work. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah. I think what Margot is saying is that Nnamdi Kanu, yeah, it was the beginning. Yeah, at the beginning, it was saying, let's go to regional. Now, for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, the reason why that didn't work particularly is because, okay, again, Mark, you might agree with me on this, you might not, but let me give you an example. Sunday Boho and Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, they both committed the same offenses. Two of them, you can say they did the same thing. In theory, they both committed the same offenses. However, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is a guy who is like, I don't care about Nigeria. Nigeria go to hell. People don't vote. We don't need Nigeria. All of you are thieves. Whereas Sunday Boy, if you see him, the way he composes himself, sometimes we go to Oba's house, he will bow down. You know, he's a guy who has this respect. So when he was in jail or incarcerated or whatever, a lot of people, Yoruba elite, could fight for him. A lot of Yoruba elites could go out and like say, okay, this is our son, no, because Sunday Igboho knew how to play the politics of the land. Whereas Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is someone who is more like by fire by force, give me what I want. All the politicians are all criminals because there's no way some people will go and meet Tinubu and say, let this guy go. But if Nnamdi Kanu is not in support of these people, and it's just like the politicians are all criminals, they're all bad, that is part of the reason why things can't work. And I'm one that believes that, you know, you have to you have to crawl, then you walk, you run. And that crawling means first we go to regional government and we work the system if that is what is needed to save Nigeria, but not be like scatter, everything go to hell, jaga. I don't need anybody, blah blah blah. And it's not the right way to go about it. My goal again, a so-called country with database to know who is not a country. Basically, I think he's saying Nigeria does not have a database. Welcome, Loud Base. Yeah. So Loud Base said, so now everyone can see why Ojukwu was very intelligent to suggest regional governments in Aburi Accord. That's another big one. The Aburi Accord. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but that's something that Ojukwu kind of was suggesting that let's do regional government. What we could have achieved in 3 days, we're now using 50 years to understand. Wow. Or more. Loud Base. That one hits hard. Like, and that is, if you guys are Bible people, You know how they say the Israelites, they spent 40 years, they were patrolling the wilderness. When the trip for the wilderness will have taken them very short. So I think that's what we are going to. And you have these senators, again, mostly rejecting, even some senators from the Southwest. They are saying they don't want to do anything with regional governments. They are not interested with the regional governments. And Tinubu himself, I urge him, President Tinubu, to take this up, because regional government, I think, will help solve some of the challenges in the government. Now, a lot of people will lose their jobs, as that lady said in the interview. A lot of people are going to lose their job. They'll be unemployed. There'll be massive unemployment. But if that is what is needed to save the soul of the country, I don't know why that is something that we cannot encourage. So, guys, I'm going to play clips of this interview so you guys can probably follow along. It's a bit slow, but bear with me. This is the last bit I'll play.
Quick point.
Something interesting.
A quick point.
Okay, go ahead.
A quick point. If we go to the next election in 2027 with the same 100 million naira form to run for president, 50 million naira to run for Senate, only money bars can run. No serious person can run. And money is not everything in leadership. The way it is now, if you stole money, you buy your ticket, you buy your office, and then you insult the citizens. That's how it is. Look at Governor of Kogi State. He invited a few to show up. Is that right?
So is this more per se of nostalgia for you? Because on the one hand, the Nigeria that you reference when we have this regional government and the Nigeria of today are not exactly the same. But there are things that are the same. We find that the leaders you had in the past are still the leaders you are. We just recycle them. They change clothes. You know, if one party is not working, they metamorphose into something else and they perpetuate themselves in power. So is it not just changing one name for another and still recycling the same leaders? Because the question I asked you earlier remains. You talked about how infrastructure was. Lagos had water and all of that. But that same problem remains. And it's the same leaders that we've been having over the years.
It is not. In the 60s, parties were based on ideology. There was action group. The motto was freedom for all, life more abundant. They have 4 cardinal programs: education, free, health.
Oh, sorry about that, guys.
Employment and industrialization, and they were focused on it. But in the last 25 years, it's cash and carry politics, no ideology. When we refer back to the regions, the Igbos have a way of life. The Yorubas have a way of life. The way they will run government, it will be clear. And we shall compete. In the 60s, the Western region was doing certain things. The East would do certain things. The North would do certain things. And they were making progress. But now, it's just to share money in Abuja. The governors take the money every month. They pay a little salaries, a little pension. That is all. We don't know what happened to the money again.
I mean, Doctor, you keep going.
So, number one, I have a problem with the lady, because she's like interrupting him. Mind you, during the interview, she has like an earpiece in her ear. So most of these media houses, they are not even in support of Nigeria. You know, this News Central or whatever, TVC, some of these media houses are owned by politicians. So you can tell clearly she's against what he's saying. So she's like interjecting because the director is telling her, here's what you should ask and blah, blah, blah. My point is, what he's saying makes sense. Every 4 years, politicians go to Abuja. This Abuja thing, Abuja is just a point whereby people are going there to go and collect money, national treasure, national cake. But going back to the region, what he was saying is that it will reduce all these Abuja going to collect money in Abuja left and right. So again, which way in Nigeria, which way forward, we don't know. It's just kind of interesting.
So let's face reality. We have to show our face in the sun. Absolutely. I know that we have to differentiate, but we will respect each other. We are still neighbors. That is it. You cannot pass anything to National Assembly. It's a total waste of time, number one. Number two, the Assembly has already said they are interested in small changes. Every 4 years, they do a little bill, they pass a little thing, that is it. So, whereas the president and the presidency can submit a bill to the National Assembly, it has a higher chance of passage.
Problem with that is the president is not interested. The president is not interested in passing a bill because he just wants to be enjoying. I mean, how can you be in power and you want to give power away? You have to be selfless. And those were the leaders we had earlier. I think it was Mark Gold who made the comment about that. And what he was saying is this leadership that we have, they are not the same leaders as back then. Our leaders back then, they were honest, they spoke English, they were proper leaders, they were servants of the people. But leaders you have today are just leaders who just want to chop, they're just politicians. And again, this is what happened in most cases back then, that the military had to take over because you have these thugs running the country. Again, I'm not anti-government. People say I'm anti-government. No, if Tinubu does what's right, I will support him. But this idea of these guys not wanting to have regional governments, as poor, as broke as the country is, but yet they want to introduce Tiga or Tiger states, they want to introduce a Neoma state and create more poverty for the people. Because every state created is going to be run by the government. Every state created is going to be run by the people. And it's going to be people's money, people's future that will be at risk. So you guys, thank you for your comment. John Obina, I see you. I'm going to respond to the comments, but let me play this quick video, which talks about the debts, the amount of base that Nigeria has, and in light of Tinubu's lies, which he gave on Independence Day, again, for which he had a very lavish, extravagant October 1 celebration, even though they said it would be low-key. So take a listen to this. I think this is the right video.
Loans obtained by past regimes, World Bank declares. The World Bank Group under President Bola Tinubu is repaying 69 loans obtained by past regimes, World Bank declares. The World Bank Group finances revealed that the Nigerian federal government is still repaying loans obtained under former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, and Goodluck Jonathan.
Okay, the World Bank Group finances revealed that the Nigerian federal government is still paying loans obtained under OBJ, Yar'Adua, and Goodluck Jonathan. So, like, they are gone. Obasanjo came into office in 1999. That's 15 years ago. So when Obasanjo started collecting debt 15 years ago, we are still paying for it today, 15 years later. You know?
In May 29, 2023, Tinubu inherited $113 billion debt, both foreign and domestic. In March 2024, less than a year in office, the debt reduced from $113 billion to $91 billion. That's a $22 billion reduction. Nigeria's total domestic and external debt stood at $91.46 billion as at March 2024.
So they said Tinubu reduced it, but he didn't really, he just moved he borrowed more money to pay that down. So it's not really like reducing the debt in total. It just reduced the fixed debt. So let's say the debt that was had before him was 113. He reduced that he went and borrowed more money, used the borrowed more money to now pay to reduce it. So that's what he was talking about in his speech. but the debt has actually increased. It's gotten worse.
The World Bank Group Finances platform disclosed that the federal government is repaying at least 69 different loans secured between 2000 and 2014. The loans are categorized under the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development and the International Development Association, which are part of the World Bank. Loans from 2000 include the Community-Based Poverty Reduction Project worth $60 million, Second Primary Education Project worth $55 million, Economic Management Capacity Building Project worth $20 million, and Small Town Water Supply and Sanitation Program Pilot Project worth $5 million.
Can you imagine this one? Will you?
Oh yeah, that's my guy. So let's kind of watch this.
Nigeria has taken another IMF loan, this time for $2.5 billion, bringing Nigeria's total debt obligations to over $110 billion. I don't like this deal at all for Nigeria, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say this is more of an economic hitman type move, and I'm going to explain why. The terms of this IMF loan may seem
Economic hitman type move. This is an Igbo guy who is saying, the new bill winner, the new basic winner don't collect. It'd be like a hitman move. So listen.
Fair at first glance. It's a $2.5 billion. I'm going to explain why. The terms of this IMF loan may seem fair at first glance. It's a $2.5 billion loan at 1% interest rate that will be paid off over 40 years, with no payment due for over 10 years. But here's the problem. The loan needs to be paid back in Western currencies, and the Naira is losing significant value.
So you collect it basically today, but you don't pay it for the next 10 years. So it's almost like you're not paying it off. But before that 10 years, when they begin to pay, you don't come off for office. See, it's just like the thing just bust my brain. You borrow money today, but you will not pay for the next 10 years because you know before that 10 years you don't come off for office. So the person that will start paying it, won't be you. So that's why the guy is an economic hitman. You're borrowing money, but it's not due when you're in office. So you can do other things and say you have a good government. Then when you leave office, the debt will start. The next president. So you are kicking the can down the road.
40 years, with no payment due. It's an exaggeration to say this is more of an economic hitman type move, and I'm going to explain why. The terms of this IMF loan may seem fair at first glance. It's a $2.5 billion loan at 1% interest rate that will be paid off over 40 years, with no payment due for over 10 years. But here's the problem. The loan needs to be paid back in Western currencies, and the Naira is losing significant value every year, meaning this loan is going to end up costing tens of billions of dollars to Nigeria within a decade. From an economic sense, the effective interest rate would be 1% plus the depreciation of the Naira relative to the US dollar. In the past year, the Naira depreciated 50%, meaning the interest rate would be 51% if the Naira depreciation continues. This is an economy-destroying debt obligation, of course, because payments...
Okay, I don't know if you guys understood what he just said, but let me try and explain. What he said was that no payment for the first 10 years makes sense, economic hitman, because you are not going to be accountable. I don't even know like who is allowing these people to borrow money. I don't know. In a house of representative or in a senate, or like I said earlier, Buhari was borrowing was about a few months before he left office. He went and got approval. So that is why someone like Magold is saying, or Loudbase is saying Nigeria will be country again. It's a country that is not working. The arms of government, they are not respecting each other. And that is why Magold, your messiah, like you called him, is held in prison, even though the judiciary has freed him. There are three branches of power that are co-equal. The judiciary, the legislative, and the executive. They are all the same. Nobody is above order. So if judiciary says this man is free to go, the executive and the DSS has no right to hold him. So the point of the legislative or House of Reps or Parliament is also to authorize spending. The House of Reps are the one that authorize spending. The government has to go to the House of Reps and say, this is how much I want to spend, though. Please approve me to spend it. The House of Reps are supposed to be a check, balance of power. They checkmate him and say, Omo, why you want to spend this money now? What do you want to spend that for? Why you spend that? But you have a situation whereby those House of Reps, most of them, a number of them are sponsored by the president himself. So, like, there's no government almost at this point. And it's not an anti-government. It's just the thing does not even make sense at all. The thing does not make sense at all. for what this guy is saying is basically we borrow money, but we're not paying 10 years, which is a good deal. Because those with the power now, in the next 10 years, they will have left. They'll have retired. So they won't have to pay because public servants, no accountability. And that is why, there's immunity for people in power. Anyway, that aside, then he said 51% depreciation of the Naira. That's very important because Naira was like 80 Naira to $1, like in 93, 94, 95, why the military was still in power. So the depreciation, this IMF, man, those guys get sense. Those guys get sense, man. So they are saying, number one, this money you borrow, pay us back in dollars. Whenever you're paying us back, you need to pay us back in dollars. Plus, any depreciation of the Naira. So the government with the fuck Naira up, excuse my language, that government basically is really like mercenary. So it does not make sense to me why someone like Tinubu will be depreciating the Naira. Because by depreciating the Naira, you are enslaving the country further. If your notes and your loan is tied to the depreciation of the Naira, so depending on how bad Naira is, that is how much your loan repayment will be. So why are you depreciating that? Like, this is just like every Nigerian should be mad. Every Nigerian watching this should like be very angry at the current ruling class and say, like, what are you guys doing? Like, she no get sense. If you imagine these are natural resources, that if you like say, you have a house and you go to the bank and you go and put the house in, you collect money for bank from the house. That's the same thing. And Nigeria is a house of all of us, but the guys that are put in charge, they don't even care. Like, they are collecting money, and the money they are collecting is tied to the depreciation of the Naira. Very, very deep.
Significant value every year, meaning this loan is going to end up costing tens of billions of dollars to Nigeria within a decade. From an economic sense, the effective interest rate would be 1% plus the depreciation of the Naira relative to the US dollar. In the past year, the Naira depreciated 50%, meaning the interest rate would be 51% if the Naira depreciation continues. This is an economy-destroying debt obligation, of course, because payments don't start until 2034, when all the current politicians will be long gone when the loan starts to come due. I can understand why this was a tempting loan to take. But let's say the Naira depreciation is only 10% per year, which is very generous. Even in this best-case scenario, that means by 2034, the principal in this loan will effectively grow from $2.5 billion to $7 billion. The payments will then be the equivalent of $1 billion a year and continue for 30 years. So for $2.5 billion today, Nigeria is agreeing to pay the Western banks $30 billion under a 10%.
And that is it.
Okay, guys. So that is like mind-blowing. You are borrowing $2.5 billion, but over 30 years, you are going to pay 30 billion. Like, you're borrowing 2.5, but you're going to pay 30 billion. I mean, this thing just, I can't really process it because maybe I'm not that smart. But to me, it does not make sense. Like, why would anybody in their normal sense open their eyes and just say, oh yeah, this is what we are going to do. We are going to borrow money and we're going to borrow it under these terms. So in a way, they are mortgage is a big word. They are collateralizing our oil. The oil is what they are using to do this. So I want to play it again. Just maybe some people missed it.
To over $110 billion. I don't like this deal at all for Nigeria, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say this is more of an economic hitman type move, and I'm going to explain why. The terms of this IMF loan may seem fair at first glance. It's a $2.5 billion loan at 1% interest rate that will be paid off over 40 years, with no payment due for over 10 years. But here's the problem. The loan needs to be paid back in Western currencies, and the Naira is losing significant value every year, meaning this loan is going to end up costing tens of billions of dollars to Nigeria within a decade. From an economic sense, the effective interest rate would be 1% plus the depreciation of the Naira relative to the US dollar. In the past year, the Naira depreciated 50%, meaning the interest rate would be 51% if the Naira depreciation continues. This is an economy-destroying debt obligation, of course because payments don't start until 2034, when all the current politicians will be long gone when the loan starts to come due. I can understand why this was a tempting loan to take. But let's say the Naira depreciation is only 10% per year, which is very generous. Even in this best-case scenario, that means by 2034, the principal in this loan will effectively grow from $2.5 billion to $7 billion. The payments will then be the equivalent of $1 billion a year and continue for 30 years. So for $2.5 billion today, Nigeria is agreeing to pay the Western banks $30 billion under a 10%.
Okay, so what he's saying here is you're borrowing 2.5 billion. It's a 40-year loan, right? The loan which Tinubu just collects, that is saying that he's paying this, paying without disclosing to you guys. It's a 30-year loan. The first 10 years of the loan, no payments. They're not going to make any payments, which all the politicians and legislative and parliament, they will enjoy the loan. You are borrowing a loan of 2.5 billion, but when you start paying that loan, 2034, your interest will be 7.5 billion. Remember, you borrowed 2.5, so that's 3 times, right? Then by the term when the loan is due, you will have paid 30 billion. That's more than 10 times. So who in their right mind will take that kind of loan? If to say now you and you get house, or you are manager of a company, can you take that kind of loan? And if you're a company that is being run, let's say Nigeria as a company, or running Nigeria as a company, but then the loan is such that you have to pay like 10 times later, like 40 years later, that company will be bankrupt. That company will be bankrupt. That company will not be in business. That company will not be in business. And each of these leaders that you have in power, all of them needs to be accountable. And that is why a regional government would not have done such, because the region will need to be more God, I can't speak English. The region will be more prejudicial, or how do you say it? Grammar, not my strength. The region will be more careful about borrowing money if they can. We saw what happened recently, that they were seizing our planes. The Chinese were seizing planes because you borrow money, you have to pay. And if this loan, if you cannot pay, we are going to be in default. And when in default, they'll start coming for us. So really, it's like bad all around. See, Tojuba, yeah, Zimbabwe is coming. That na country. Even your Donbass leaders know self say the Ilu don't collapse. Ilu is village. The village don't collapse. So the leaders know that the country has collapsed, and they are trying to get money just to run the country enough for the next cycle, or run the country enough for them to leave office. My gold, bros, please use this your effort. Okay, use this your effort to better your people as Nigeria. As Nigeria will never work for anyone apart from so-called politicians and Fulanis that are running Nigeria as a derate state, as a dear state. Yeah. So he's saying that use this effort to better our people. The so-called politicians, the Fulanis, are running Nigeria as they are running Nigeria as just they're running it to the ground. It seems like John Obina, stop deceiving people. Igboho was instrument in Tinubu's hand to achieve his goal. Now he's no more agitating. I don't have any facts for that. I've seen some of Igboho's interviews. Now, what he's just agitated for was a part of that regional discussion. As you can see on this live stream, we've talked about how these are Yorubas saying, let's go back to regional government. Honestly, I think regional government is better. I feel like the regional government will give more results. I feel the regional government will reduce the size of government. The regional government will allow us to be able to explore our regional resources and not just be there waiting for federal national cake of oil, which is a way, kind of a lazy thing to do. Lazy because let's say we have, I don't know, 6 brothers, and all of us are brothers, all 6 of us. But then we have, say, like a father, in a way, yeah. So that father is going to be collecting money from one brother and giving it to the other 6 brothers, other 5 brothers. So he's collecting money. When he's collecting money, he's going to the other 5 brothers. The other 5 brothers are going to be lazy because this one brother that is giving us money, and he has to give the father the money. He doesn't give the father the money, the father will discipline him. So we don't have to work because every month we are guaranteed a check. If this region is dependent, the region will be more competitive or competition. The regional can now start producing their own if they know they are going to keep that stuff. So if I am in Ogun State or Osun State or Ile-Ife, and I know that I have cocoa, and cocoa is my resources, I can develop cocoa more. As long as the federal government said they won't touch cocoa, I can use cocoa to build more higher institutions. The institutions you have now, if UI, all those ones were from again during the regional government. Regional government, I think it was John Obina Magold or somebody, or I think no, Onyade, one of our comments here said, tell me what Nigeria has achieved in the last 50 years. And the answer is nothing, because a lot of achievements that Nigeria today has was done during the regional government. A lot of the achievement was during the regional government because each region are responsible to develop themselves and they have all the resources to develop their regions. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. So John Obina, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I just think that Tinubu is in power because he wants to be in power. And mind you, Tinubu also settled a lot of northern governors and stuff to get that power. Do you understand? So why would he want regionalism? He's not going to be interested in that. Loud base, CBN has to deal away with these institutions. They are sinking Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria, I don't think has the power to remove any institution. It will be the legislation of the presidency. CBN just funds all the states and all the local governments. Everybody gets a check every month. They don't care where the money is coming from or how the South states are being marginalized, how there are no roads in the South. They don't care about that. All they care about is every month we get a check. Ogata, that means whether the boss sell or not, the money of the laborer will be complete. Don't go far. Our country is currently besieged with online loan sharks, with a high interest rates. You're right. With repayment of 7 days, householders are on debt. If you are very current, households are on debt. Yes. Loudways, I agree with you there. Interest rate with payment of 7 days. Wow, that's deep. If you guys don't know what he's talking about, all these interest rates you can get like in the West, an interest rate can be 30%. So let's say your salary, if you are working and your salary will come on the 31st, but you need money on the 25th. So what you're going to do is go and get like a shark loan and say, give me money, or your salary is coming, but the interest rate will be so high. So I agree with you there. Read my first quotes about the CBN. Okay, I will. I'm just going over the quotes now. I'll get to you. Thank you, Laubez. Zimbabwe is coming. That's our country. Even okay, that's from Sitoju. Then Margot said, bros, please use the okay. I've read that. Stop deceiving people. Okay, read that. Loud base. Okay, I think it's coming. Loud base coming. Talking about regional government is very okay. This nonsense that happened in those states will not happen. Oh more man, one bottle for you if you are drinking. I feel like I should just buy you one bottle of wine because you are so right. Like Omo, God will bless you. I agree with you. This nonsense that happened will not happen. Whereby you have people from Abuja coming. Someone who from Lagos went to the Edo. What is what's his business with Edo state government? They are not in the same region. What will he be looking for? Celebrating with Edo? You know, federal government won't decide in the state election, not at all. Buying votes will be cut off. Totally agree with you. Buying votes will be cut off. All this nonsense will stop. But the problem is those in charge, the 1999 constitution, which again was produced by Abdul Salam and the military. So you have a constitution that for the Fourth Republic, that the military are the one that wrote, that we civilians are bound by. The civilians now want to make changes, but the gatekeepers do not want those changes. Onyade said, I was born early 70s in Nigeria. Nigeria then is definitely not Nigeria now. That's true. That's true. Nigeria then is definitely not Nigeria now. I remains back to that period, and it wasn't anything like it is now. Wow. It wasn't anything like it is now. Even people are talking about during the era of Idi Agbon, Buhari, but Idi Agbon was the one that ran the government anyway. Even though, you know, Buhari claimed that and lied to us for coming back a second term and demonstrated more of his gross incompetence. So Idiagbon again, then there was discipline. Then even IBB was a military president. If you guys remember, things were working. He created the Federal Road Safety Commission, the Ministry of Health, Roads and Work. I think IBB created that as well. IBB did a lot to help and better the good of Nigeria. He listened to people when he did policies and the policies did not work. He changed. Unless who you have now, who is actually worse. Tinubu is actually worse or worse than Buhari. At least Buhari did not remove the subsidy. And now, as I demonstrated earlier, they are collecting loan. But the loan they are connected is pegged against the inflation or the devaluation of the naira, because the West don't care about what's going on in your country. Like, just make sure you return our loan. So imagine you're paying interest, you're paying 30 billion for borrowing 2 billion, 2.5 billion. Like, who does that? How does that even make sense? If you are someone who cares and you have a conscience, will you even do that? If not, that you are wicked. That is wickedness, really. Wickedness on top of irrationality are the masses of the poor people. And guess what? They make sure that the debts, they are not going to pay it. For the first 10 years, they don't pay the debts. So the first 10 years, the debt is free. They don't pay. By then, all of them have left office. How convenient. Sitoju said, regional government has been the slogan of APC campaign. So to not see the light of day until everything will explode. Yes, you're right. While I was preparing for this, Tinubu was actually saying, let's do regional government. Let the power return to the region. Yes, you're right about that. But again, in the interest of time, I won't be able to play that video. But you're right. APC has always been regional government. But now they're in power. They just changed their tune. Guys, I think we're coming up to the end of the stream. Thank you guys for participating and for being engaged. Please like this video if you haven't already. Just help us by liking the video. Also subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. That would encourage us to do more of these streams and bring to you what kind of topics you want to hear. If you want us to cover any topic, let us know. One that I've been particularly interested in is the travels of our presidents. How is the travel president? And is on track to being the most traveled president in Nigerian history. Just enjoying the money. Literally, after the October 1st protest started, and the next day is like, I'm out of here. And then the legislature are not holding him accountable. So very, very sad to see the state of things. I don't have an answer. I don't know how to go take Waka this journey. I don't know how to go take Duam. But hopefully, the next election, we appoint people. Even Jonathan, when Jonathan was in office, Jonathan called for a national, I forgot what it's called, but like a referendum where they had people from every region. They went to Abuja. There was a name for it. It was a national conference, I think, where people came together and everybody was like, oh, yeah, it was lasted for weeks, I remember, where everybody came and they were chopping money and so, but they had that discussion. They had that debate, like, which way is it working? And that was one of the things Jonathan had, which, if to say I get power and I'm all of Nigeria, I will just keep Jonathan so that Jonathan can finish that. And we can see that might be a way forward, because Jonathan's objective then was to see national confab or whatever it was called then, to just get together and let's try and figure this thing out. But as soon as Buhari entered, that thing died. Like, it just died. Thank you guys for watching. Please share this with someone that you think might enjoy it. And also, don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to our channel. Until next time, I will see you tomorrow on another live stream. Thank you guys, and Bye, guys.